The giveaway is now open. My Nespresso virtual line coffee machine giveaway is now open. As you all know in my vlogs, I'm always talking about my coffee. I love my Nespresso machine, and now I want to gift one of my subscribers one. To gain early entry, you will need to leave a response to 2 comments that I have left on my Black Women in Luxury video. Click the I up at the top right corner and gain your entry. Hey y'all, welcome back to the podcast. Apologies for that 12-day break. I sort of went on. I didn't really go on a break, to be quite honest. I've recorded plenty of episodes. I just haven't sat down to edit them and publish them to YouTube because I'll be a bit honest right now. It's not that I'm experiencing burnout. I'm just sort of like in that space that I think most Black creators get to, where it's just sort of like, man, why do I keep putting out this content and putting so much effort into it when I know that somebody who doesn't look like me will do this exact same thing to an even lesser extent of effort and is going to receive so much praise for it. It just starts to get a little discouraging. But then I had to remind myself that, I began this podcast, and quite frankly, I began my YouTube channel because I wanted to push past that. I wanted to work through those feelings, and then I wanted to push past that because I refuse to not engage with what privileges and luxuries I have as a sort of Black woman that I am. And that's really what I want to talk about in today's episode, is Black women in particular, because I am a Black woman, and I think it's important for us to begin speaking about the spaces we're most familiar with before we begin to speak about spaces that are foreign to us, or to using better language, before we begin to speak about and in and for spaces to which we don't personally belong and or are still learning about. So I'm a Black woman in this podcast, although titled Fed Up Black Creator Podcast. Yes, I'll be speaking from my frame of reference, right? My lens mostly. So as a Black woman. And so I just, I want Black women, right? I want Black women. I want Black people, but I want Black women to understand that, yes, like, please believe me, sis, I know. Yes. Even with all of the BS that gets thrown our way for simply existing like as Black, that we do have privileges and we do have luxuries afforded to us, hear me out, simply because we are Black. But a lot of those privileges and luxuries, we have to be paying close attention to recognize. I guess to provide some more context, there was this sort of conversation happening on YouTube about pretty privilege, but there was the broader giveaway
conversation,
is now
right,
open.
pretty
My Nespresso
privilege,
virtual line coffee machine giveaway is now open. As you all know in my vlogs, I'm always talking about my coffee. I love my Nespresso machine, and now I want to gift one of my subscribers one. To gain early entry, you will need to leave a response to 2 comments that I have left on my Black Women in Luxury video. Click the I up at the top right corner.
The other conversation was getting. Honestly, it didn't even get a fraction. Yes, we are going to listen to the siren because this is my very real life, and I do intend to keep it in the podcast. Thank you. The conversation that wasn't really being paid attention to was the conversation that Black women were having amongst ourselves, and more specific, the conversation that dark-skinned Black women were having amongst themselves, where it was like, when it comes to this whole pretty privilege thing, we're not having the conversation, right, about the colorism and the featureism, texturism that is also playing into that. Like, it's, it was interesting. And I'm not saying this is like my side or my stance. I just think the conversation itself was interesting. And then there was another conversation that was happening in that conversation, right? About dark-skinned Black women who benefit. This was the conversation, not my beliefs. There was this conversation happening around dark-skinned Black women who benefit from Eurocentric features, right? Basically, well, not basically, but what some describe as featureism, not what is widely accepted as featureism, which is, being Black and having those smaller / whatever Eurocentric features. But that's not really all that featureism is, to be honest. But this is not the episode about that. So I was like, wow, these are all some really interesting conversations around pretty privilege. But there's this one woman in particular who was having the conversation, and for the goodness of me, I cannot remember her name, but please, by the time that I edit this, I do hope that I insert it in the comment section or in the, what is it? Oh my gosh. Description box. Or that I'll leave it in the description box below. But if it's not there when this comes out, y'all, don't think I just forgot about it. I'm going to be like searching for her name. I'm going to try to remember who she was. But she had a conversation and she was like, I understand all of this. Like, this is all great, like nuanced additions we're having to the conversation. Like, beautiful, beautiful things. Awesome. Good on y'all for bringing all of this other context into the pretty privileged conversation. But can we talk about how we benefit, as Black women, simply for being Black? And can we discuss what what our privileges are, and the exotic? And I was like, oh, I don't ever think about that. And I know you all are thinking, girl, what does this have to do with being a creator? Well, I'm getting to it. If you would have patience, goodness. I appreciate you though. Thank you. Thanks, girl. Thank you for being here. Or thanks y'all, y'all, to whomever, to all of us Black people listening to this. And anybody else. Hey. But yes. So, in the exotic, right? So I was like, I wonder, like, what does she mean? So she goes on. But to describe what she means, basically she was saying, like, I understand that we get really caught up in the things that are trying to, like, beat us down in society. But if there are ways that we can flip those things around and make them work for us, then we should. As long as it's in alignment with how you want to conduct yourself, right? But it was interesting because she talked about as a creator, because she's on YouTube, right? And she's like, she doesn't really see, at least not the Black women she subscribed to for the most part, but even just like in general as, you could say as trend, but I don't really want to say as trend. I really just want to say as knowing, really, that it will work, right? She doesn't see many Black women on the platform, in particular YouTube and others, but mostly YouTube. She doesn't really see Black women play into what is understood to sell, what sells, right? Like, if you look like a category, not saying you have to pretend to be a category, but, why don't you allow those things to work for you? But also, girl, if there are other things that you're interested in outside of the boxes of quote unquote Black YouTube, why don't you make that your content? All of our content doesn't need to be, all of our content does not need to be beauty, lifestyle, food, pranks, couple channels, comedy, I guess, like skit / comedy channels, or tea / drama / not the best spirited commentary channels, right? Like, I feel like those are the categories of Black YouTube for the most part. And she was like, why don't we change that? It's like we say we really do want to change that narrative, yet are we really doing it? You know, are enough of us really deciding about ourselves, hey, you know, I am the right person to share this tips and tricks about this community or this job or this skill set or, you know, whatever it is, this experience as a Black person. Because there are others. There are others. And whether or not there are others actually doing it, we also know why that may be, you know, because it's the reason why we still are having Black people who are the first to be something or to quote unquote achieve. We've been achieving, but you know what I'm saying. Have achieved something in certain fields or whatever skill sets. And so it's just like, we have to share more of ourselves if we're going to reach more of us and benefit from that knowledge and knowing and sharing of information and wealth. And it goes back to what I was talking about in my first episode, where I was just like, we really just need to be more of a community. Like, we're really missing that community aspect in this creative space, whatever. And it's not just about YouTube. It's not just about TikTok. It's not about any of that, really. Those are really small in comparison to the whole picture. And we're not even really doing it in the physical space, right? Like, for example, back when like YouTube meetups and things were something we were doing, a lot of people don't do that anymore. They're just done very differently now. But the way they used to be. Those spaces, right, were never really geared towards that person, you know, like teaching folks or educating folks about what they were doing. It was more so that person's kind of like showing up, taking a picture, and perhaps getting paid for that, but sometimes totally not getting paid for that, especially if they're a newer, popular channel. Sometimes they would do that stuff for free just because they were like trying to get more popular on YouTube or on wherever I am. And what I'm wanting for is for those of us who are on these platforms to not only just provide the show of it all, but to also provide the benefit and blessing of it all, but also the work of it all, but by showing that, you know, people see that this gets you to the place of triumph. And I was loving what she was saying, because I was just like, yes, yes. Why don't more of us do more of the things we like? Like, I'll be honest with y'all, right? When it comes to my own channel, if you really take a look at it, I don't really have a niche, right? And yeah, the advice all the time is niche down. Like, find your thing, do it, go after your one thing. It's gonna fucking go. And it's not that it won't, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely not that it won't. We've seen it a 1,000 times over, right? But you don't have to. Like, you don't have to, because for all those who we've seen have like niche down, and I mean, it does wonders for them. We have still seen just as many, you know, not do it and still get to where they want to go. And I've thought for a while, y'all, I'll be serious. I've thought for a while to maybe niche down my channel. But every time I think about it, I'm just like, but then I'm not being me on this channel. And because of the way that I like to create content, because of the way that I like to share content, you know, I don't want to try to include all these things into a vlog or into a review about something, or into a routine or something. And get me and hear me when I say this. I love those videos, y'all. I love vlogs. Oh my God. Can I tell you something? Somebody who starts a YouTube channel with a vlog, incredible. You are incredible. Do you understand, like, how awesome you are and how confident you are? You better go. You better start a brand new YouTube channel with a vlog. You better come on this platform and say, so anyway, what I did today was this, because I'm going to share it, and because I feel like it. And also, aren't people vlogging and doing something with that vlogging? Also, like, I'm just sharing, connecting. Do you know what? I'm going to get back to my point, trust me. But do you know what? I think people forget that YouTube did this sort of like a shift in the 2010s, but more so towards the end of the 2010s. So like 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, right? YouTube has done this little shift where it's gone from like a content, like post your video and go type of platform, to really cultivating communities. Like YouTube is now participating in the community culture of YouTube, right? You used to have to take your community offline. It either existed in the comment section or it was offline, unless y'all were doing like email groups or fan pages or like things like that. Unless you were doing that, you had to really take it offline, off the platform. YouTube has now invited that on the platform, so much so that they are engaging with it. They created the community tab. They want you to start using YouTube as more of a social network that, is elevated amongst the rest of them, because if you are social on this network, can't say will, because will depends on if you're doing it for that, whatever. I'm going to point out. Point is, if you're social on this network of YouTube, it can yield an incredible return on investment. Basically, how long can we keep you, the creator, and the viewer literally on this platform? Like, you got to think about that. So YouTube, to me at least, now operates more as a social media network. Like, there's just really engaging in the community tab. I think if YouTube starts to allow people to like message, imagine being able to message a YouTuber like on YouTube. So I don't have to leave YouTube and go to Instagram. I don't have to go to Twitter. I don't have to send them an email. I don't have to go through whatever channels else. I can just stay on YouTube. So either in app or on my computer or laptop, I can just stay on the platform and I can just send my favorite creator a message, and then imagine if that messaging goes a step further and YouTube could integrate people having lives, but more FaceTime style, or people having chats. Like, yeah, exactly. Like introducing the FaceTime, basically, system to their platform. Because on Instagram, you can call somebody. On Instagram, you can also basically FaceTime somebody. And if y'all think YouTube is like not thinking about that as a possibility, try again. So if we also think about it in that way, okay, YouTube itself is evolving as a platform. We have to understand that we need to be even more creative, because if YouTube is going to start creating this community, a more community-based platform, even with the mess that is, because there's always mess or whatever, right? But if they're going to start creating this more community-based platform, then we need to make sure that I feel, are sharing as many resources as we can on this platform, as like showing up, in as many ways as we want to, as multifaceted as we are, to make sure that when more community, more community features start to get introduced to the platform, it's easier for us, to be in community with each other. It can happen a bit faster. It doesn't have to take as long as it does on other platforms. And we can really start to work together to really build a unified, right? A unified platform within a platform. We just have to start doing it now. When I think about when people say, oh, there's not enough, of this kind of a YouTuber, that kind of a YouTuber who's Black, I'm always just like, oh, no, but there is. But the reason there aren't more, and we know this, the reason why there aren't more is because they just don't see it, they don't know, or they don't even think to do it. y'all, let's think about some of the most popular YouTubers that can come to our mind. I say popular YouTuber, who are the first couple people you're thinking about? Whoever they are, think about some of the things that like really went off for them, really went up for them, and think about where they are, now. People are buying houses off of eating food in their cars. Y'all, you mean to tell me more of us cannot do that? And you mean to tell me more of us cannot do that and have even more of us simply support them doing that just because we understand how this platform, how these systems, how this algorithm is working? You think we can't start to have more productive conversations around, hey, how exactly do we make sure that like every time a Black food YouTuber drops a video, it gains bare minimum 1,000 views first hour? How do we make sure that happens? How do we build something integrated? Maybe our own app, maybe in platform, who knows? But it's somewhere where we just know every time one of us is on our game, the rest of us can go support. And we support because I'll tell y'all right now, I am subscribed to so many people, and I really do my due diligence to give their video a view. However I need to do it. Understand me. Thank you. I found a way to give their video a view to make sure that they get their view. They get their AdSense and they get their subscriber, and I leave a comment, they get their engagement. I'm being very serious. Like, y'all, like, if y'all have suggestions, please let me know. Like, what can we do to make sure that we are really working as a unified force here on this platform? Like, other people are making sure that everybody gets back, because we all here. And as long as you're for that cause, then, be for that cause. That's all.